Alexandra Brook-Clark. Welcome to the Woo Report.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So fun! You are a holistic health and non-toxic expert, but before you got here, you struggled and you still struggle with chronic illness,
Yep.
Lyme, parasites, mold infection, mast cell activation syndrome, which I had never heard of until
Yeah.
I looked you up. So, can we when did all of this start?
Sure. So this started really back in 2020, or it presented itself, but it had been there since I was a child, which we didn't know. I was living in New York City, in Brooklyn, and I had a 2-year-old son. I had just had hip surgery at the end of 2019. And I was just cleared to go back to work. I was non-weight bearing for 3 months. There was like some complications with the surgery, and I was so excited to be able to like walk to work again and be a normal human and be off crutches. And then COVID happened. And about 3 days before the world shut down, I was given information by a friend of like, hey, if you want to get out of the city, now is the time to do it if you can, if you have family members to go stay with. So we like fled New York City thinking it would be just for a few weeks. No one obviously knew what was going on at that point. But something innately in me was just like, get out of the city. And I recently worked with my healer and we found out that reason, and we can circle back to that. But I was like, we got to get out. And my like husband came back from work. I like had rented an SUV and like packed up bags. My son was 2. We have a 90-pound dog. I like just like I was like, we got to get out. And then like 3 weeks after we had been in Boston staying with my parents, I started to feel really sick. And this is where it really started for me. And that started with fatigue, where I would wake up in the morning and feel like I hadn't slept my entire life. It was a different type of fatigue than I had ever experienced before. And it was a really stressful time for everyone in the world, right? We were dealing with a really stressful election. We were dealing with really stressful health scares with COVID. We were dealing with the world being on hold, and everyone is just in a different environment and no one knows what's happening, and everyone's like lysoling their vegetables and their fruit, and no one can go to school. I mean, it was crazy bananas cuckoo what was going on then. So that was the story that was being fed to me, was like, you're stressed out. You're just feeling the stress. You're tired. You're a mom. You moved, blah, 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 blah. But shortly after, the fatigue turned to other symptoms, right? And that's when I really started to pay attention. At first, I was like, okay, maybe I am tired. Maybe I am stressed. Maybe my body is just in fight or flight from everything that's going on. But then very real symptoms started happening, and they started happening cyclically. So every single month, there would be like compounded with a new symptom. So like first it was fatigue, then it would go away. Then it was like fatigue and nausea. Then those would go away. Then it was fatigue, nausea, gastro issues, and they started to stack. And this really started my journey with Western practitioners gaslighting me and not listening to me and not hearing me and not validating what I was saying. And so, yeah, this is where my journey started back in 2020, to give you a very long-winded answer of when it
Wow.
started. Yes.
Wow. 2020 was a wild time.
Horrible year for everybody. Yeah.
It was also just wild to hear you say that you had hip surgery and were couldn't walk for 3 months because I also had hip surgery. I mean,
Oh,
in
wow.
2020, I was run over by a car, and
Oh
that's
my
why I
God.
had hip
So
surgery.
sorry.
But I mean, but it's just interesting the timing of it all. And I haven't met another person my age that has had hip surgery and like couldn't walk for that. Like you had to like learn to walk again.
It was awful. I was a dancer my whole life, and my bones, my hips were just like completely torn down. So I had a torn labrum and impingement,
Oh
and
wow.
the pain was just excruciating. I also was blessed enough to birth a 10-pound baby.
Oh
So
my gosh.
when I was pregnant, that did not help anything. So
Oh wow.
it was bad, but I totally hear you and feel you. Like, the surgeries are beyond crippling, and it's awful. And already, as you know, emotionally and physically and energetically, when you go under, you are susceptible to all of the things, and then the healing, and then being a mom, and like not, it's all of it. So I was already hoarder's home where they hadn't cleaned in years and years, or an abandoned house. Like that's what I associated mold with. So I'm at my parents' house. I'm starting to see all of these doctors, and I'm starting to go to all of these practitioners. So like I see the head of infectious disease at Mass General. I see the head of infectious disease at Tufts. I see a rheumatologist, a radiologist, a cardiologist. Like when I tell you I've seen every doctor, I've seen every single doctor. And mold was never spoken about. Lyme was never spoken about. Everyone would take my labs, right? So, and when I say this, I like to preface this with I have nothing against Western practitioners. It's not their fault. They're just not taught this. They just don't know, right? They're taught what they're taught, and it's doing everyone a disservice. And I hope that this changes in the future. But I saw multiple doctors. All of them took my labs, and every lab came back 100% normal. And they'd sit there and they'd look at me, and I looked fine. And then they'd look at the labs and they'd say, "You're 100% fine. You must just be either having depression, anxiety, mental illness." And I'm like, mental illness? I'm not, no, I'm sitting there crying out, and no one knew what to do. So we ended up leaving my parents' house. We finally decided we were going to stay in Boston. So we ended up buying a house, and that took like 8 months to find a house because it just totally derailed our plans and sped everything up. But we found this beautiful house. It was a post office that was turned into a brownstone. And we were like, this is amazing. We feel like we're in Brooklyn. We can like walk down to our little grocery store, right? We were so excited. And I had 4 different inspections before we moved in, and everyone checked for mold, and no one came back with mold. I had never spoken about mold in my parents' house. I had never spoken about mold in this house. I thought everything was good. We move in, and I would say pretty quickly after we moved in, things got real weird, really, really quickly. I think maybe I'll never forget. We went through our final walkthrough, and I said to my husband, "Do you feel weird?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "I don't feel right. Something's wrong." And like my like woo woo ness was like, "Is there a ghost in this house? Like, is something telling me not to move into this house? Like, something doesn't feel right." And I remember being so lethargic and so nauseous and so dizzy that I had to physically sit on the ground while he did the final walkthrough. I remember in where I'm sitting right now in my office, just in the corner, and I was just like, what is happening? Why do I feel like this? This is so weird and scary. But never did I think in a million years that there was mold. I had just had 4 inspections. It was beautiful. It was renovated. I had no idea. So we move in, and like I went downhill really, really fast. So I walked in with the fatigue and the nausea and the dizziness, but now neurologically there was a lot that was starting to happen. I started hallucinating.
Oh
I
my God.
started to lose cognitive function. I lost vision in my left eye. I could no longer drive. I was hospitalized multiple times, and every time was different. The last time that I went, I was hospitalized for what they called an atypical migraine, where they thought I was having a migraine, but I didn't have any pain, which is why I lost vision. And everyone was just grabbing for straws. Like no one knew what was happening. And I just remember at this point, a lot of it is like really foggy because I was just so sick. But I do remember saying, I've now seen X amount of doctors. No one knows what's wrong with me. I have now lost my ability to drive. I can barely be a mom. I can barely get up in the morning. I would get up fake it in front of him. Luckily, he was young enough where he didn't really understand.
Mhm.
I would do everything I could do with him. And then thank God we had an amazing nanny who would help with everything. My husband would go to work. I'd get right back into bed. Then the second he came home, I'd have to like peel myself off of the bed and try to like I was like a hot mess. And I just remember saying, no one's going to fix this for me. No one's going to figure this out for me. This is up to me or I'm going to die. And I found functional holistic medicine, and I had told my story to so many doctors, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this again. They're not going to believe me. I didn't know anything about functional medicine at the time, and so I just was expecting to be let down. And that feeling of being not heard and judged is like worse than the sickness itself,
Mhm.
because you're anticipating another letdown. And I got on the phone with this doctor who was in Mexico, and I tell this story all the time. I was like in bed, like looking real mess, like looking just like really weak and pale, and I had lost a lot of weight, and I was just like a mess. And I got on the phone with him, and I was like, "This is the guy that's going to do it." He was in a Hawaiian button-up shirt and like a fedora, and he was like sipping a blue drink, like looked like he was on vacation. I was like,
Oh my
this is
gosh.
not the guy. This can't be the guy. And he was like, okay, tell me your symptoms. And I was like, well, and he was like, okay, I know you're good. I know what you have. And I was like, what do you mean? I have it. How do you know? And he was like, well, you have Lyme disease. And I was
Oh
like,
my
there's
God.
no way I have Lyme disease. There's just, I've been in New York City for 13 years. And he was like, well, it doesn't mean you got bit recently. You could have gotten bit as a child, and you're living in an environmental toxin. And I remember getting off that call just being so equal parts happy and equal parts confused,
Yeah.
because no one had ever spoken to me about these things. But yet it was the first time someone had given me something credible. So I called my concierge doctor out of Mass General, and I told her this, and she was like, okay. Like totally disregarded it. And she was like, Alexandra, I've been in practice for 40 years. I'm a concierge doctor. I've seen it all, blah, 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 blah. There's just no way you have Lyme disease. Lo and behold, I ordered the proper test that he told me to get, which unfortunately is not available through insurance if you go to your normal practitioner. And
Mm.
not only did I have Lyme disease, I had 6 co-infections of Lyme disease. So tick-borne illness can just be Lyme, but it can also have other vector-borne illnesses that come from the tick or the mosquito or the spider that you're bitten by. Okay. And on top of that, because I'm so lucky, I had a parasite in my brain called toxoplasmosis.
What the fuck?
So I got all of this information. I'm sitting in this house and I'm looking around at this house, and I'm like, okay, so not only am I sick, but now he told me something else was going on in my house. So I started this journey of working with functional practitioners and getting all of the proper testing. And I had everything under the sun that you could think of. Um, and they were like, first we need to deal with the Lyme. Okay, like first that's what we're gonna deal with. That's just hit that first. We can't do everything. And I was like, I just don't think I have mold in my house. I had it inspected 4 times. I would be really surprised. And my doctor, who was in New York City, was like, well, you know, what's going on with you physically? I can't see you, right? It was still like during all of COVID and nothing was in person. I was like, well, I gained 25 pounds. And she was like, what? And I was like, I gained 25 pounds. And she was like, oh, you babe, you're 100% living in mold. And then this started, this started the mold journey of now going on this hunt.
Weight gain is from mold? Can
Yeah,
be from mold?
yes. Like
I
actually
did not know that.
one of the most common.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. 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 Oh my God.
Weight gain was from, I was on a million different antibiotics, a million different herbs. I had to go on antibiotics because of the parasite and because my infections were so severe. So I was like so sick and bloated and distended. And I was just like, I thought I was bloated and gained all this weight because my body was just in disarray. And when I
Yeah.
told her that, immediately she was like, you're living in mold. And I was like, what? How can this, where am I? Like, how could this happen? How is this happening to me? And this started my journey with the mold, and this started my journey with functional medicine
Oh my
and
God.
all of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you to this man in the Hawaiian shirt.
Thank you, Dr. Jake.
Thank you, Dr. Jake, because
Yes.
without him,
Yeah.
where would we be?
In bed.
We love him so much. With the Lyme, you feel like it was when you were a kid? Is that where
So
we landed?
yeah, so if you were to go to your doctor, your practitioner, your PC, and say, I think I have Lyme, let's say you did not have a bullseye rash. Under 20% of people present with that bullseye rash. So
Hmm.
most people equate Lyme with the bullseye rash. And this is a major problem because most people don't present with that. Also, these ticks like to get in warm, dark places. So like, for example, they love the hairline, they love in the scalp. You would never see a rash there, right?
Mm.
So when I started to learn about testing modalities for Lyme, I told my concierge doctor, I'd like you to test me for Lyme. And begrudgingly she did it because I forced her to essentially. She was like, I'll do it. I tested negative 5 times on the Western blot test, which is the standard test that the insurance will cover. And after I got into this industry and I started learning about this, I realized that a lot of people are testing negative. I think that don't quote me, but something like 80% of people are testing negative, unless you have acute infection, meaning you were just bit. Once I realized that I was not going to test positive here, but everyone in my new medical team was like, this is everything's pointing to Lyme. I got the proper Lyme test. So there's a few different labs in the States that just focus on vector-borne illness. And first test came back with all of the things. And it's a really comprehensive test. It is worth all of the money. It ranges between $400 and $800, depending on the types of testing that you're going to be doing. But it's the best money you're going to spend because you need to know exactly what's going on inside of you. And different strains of Lyme are treated differently depending on the bacteria that's now in your body. And after we did a deep dive into my antibodies across the team, my entire medical team thought that I had been bitten as a child and it had been dormant my whole life. And so I had a C-section back in 2018, and then I had hip surgery in 2019. And so the story goes, your body was just couldn't, your bucket overflowed with stress and all of these things, and your body could no longer fight off the Lyme. And that's why it presented itself when it did. Plus the moving and the COVID and like all of that stuff together.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then when you first went on medication for it, did it go, the symptoms started to go away?
No, it was awful.
Oh my God.
You ever heard of a Herxheimer reaction?
No.
So a Herxheimer reaction is basically what happens in your body when you start to kill off the infections, but all of the toxins are just floating around in your
Oh
body.
God.
And so you just feel the worst. Like think of a flu times 1,000. And it's a really, like mentally, it's really hard because you have to get worse before you get better. And you didn't even think it was possible to get worse.
Mm.
And so you're sitting in this place of, I'm getting sicker, nothing's working. I had to change medication multiple times because my body couldn't take it. And I was on really heavy duty medication. And so like every few months, it's like, it's not, like, we got to change it and we got to change it. And like, you're bleeding money. Nothing's covered by insurance. And it took me about 4 months into the antibiotics until I said to my team, I can't do this anymore. My body is telling me I cannot, it's hurting me more than it's helping me. And they said, okay, you know your body, let's just switch to herbals. Let's just get you on an herbal protocol. You've killed off a majority of raging activity that has been going on, the bacteria. Let's go to herbal and see if this helps you. And so for people who are listening who don't know, Lyme never goes away. It's just in remission. So what you're trying to do is work on the body's ability to fight off these infections, but you never eradicate Lyme. It's always there. right? So for the rest of my life, I will have to live a certain way to keep these, what we call flares, away. But what was happening is I was also living in mold. And that was just like spoon feeding the Lyme, right? So every appointment was like a layer. Every few months was like a layer. We were pulling back, pulling back, pulling back. Once I felt stable enough to now dive into the molds, we found mold in 3 different places in our home. We have split units for AC. There's no central because it's an old historic building. Um, there was really bad mold in there. We found it in our washing machine. It was a front loading washing machine. And then we found it in a leak in the basement that was coming through brick. And on all 3, and they didn't all happen at the same time, which was also emotionally just horrific to process. Like, it's happening again. How is this happening again? And we found out through a urine sample after we recognized I had gained so much weight that the same mold that was in my house was in my urine. So it completely matched up perfectly. So it was an active exposure. It wasn't a previous exposure. We later found out my mom also and my father, they both had mold in their house, which is why I started to feel really sick right when I moved in there. Um, and then you have to go on this huge detox for mold, which I'm still on and my son is still on. My husband and my son had no symptoms of mold exposure because their immune system was working really, really wonderfully. I obviously was like, meanwhile, dying in bed, but I knew that my son would have it and my husband because we're all living under the same roof. So we're all on these mold detoxes. My son is still on it. I'm almost finishing mine. But the mold plus the Lyme caused a really serious malfunction in the way my body was processing and detoxing things, which caused an enormous parasitic problem, an enormous mast cell activation issue, which I know. And for people who don't know, we all have mast cells. And when our body thinks we're allergic to something, this becomes a problem. So I was eating the foods I had always eaten, strawberries, avocados, tomatoes, all of those things, and my body now thought that I was allergic to them. So I was feeling horrible. I was inflamed, and a lot of people who suffer from Lyme also suffer from mold, also suffer from mast cell activation, also suffer from parasitic infection because your body is just so overloaded. You just can't take it anymore. So I go through my whole journey. This is years and years and years, but while I'm going through this, I'm looking around at my environment and I'm realizing, oh, what I thought was healthy isn't healthy. I thought the water I was drinking was clean, but it's actually not clean enough. Like, my Brita isn't doing anything. My deodorant, it says it's organic, but I would flip it around and like really learn how to read an ingredient label. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm putting this chemical directly onto my lymph nodes." And I started working under these amazing doctors and these amazing functionals, Reiki masters, energy healers, muscle testers, environmental specialist, and I really started to understand the importance of what we put in our body is just as important about what we put on our body, and our environment and our health starts from the home, right? We can't control what happens when we leave our house. There's off gassing, there's EMF, there's gases, there's all of these pollutants, but what we can control is what's in our house. And so I really decided in that moment, I'm going to make this a pain to purpose mission. And I am going to learn and educate other people on all of these factors that they don't even know are harming them and their children. And I want to be the person that I didn't have during my journey for all of these other people suffering. And that's how my company started.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. So your company is ARMUR Health. It's so much, but it's so interesting. And it's like, isn't it interesting? Of course, this always happens. It's like at your rock bottom is
Always.
when you are pushed the most to find purpose in it, you know?
100%. And I wouldn't change. People always ask me, would you change anything? And the answer is no, because I truly believe in my heart of hearts that I got sick for a reason. And that reason was to help other people. And I would do it all over again a million times to be able to give back to people. There's nothing more beautiful that when I get a phone call from a mom who's like, I have to tell you something. My son or my daughter had been to the doctor for the last 6 months. They were having chronic eczema. They were so uncomfortable. They were itchy. They couldn't sleep. You came in my house. You changed our diet. You changed our products. You changed our air and our water and the way we eat. You removed the toxins from our foods. You showed us how to clean our fruits and vegetables. My child's 100%. My child feels amazing. My child is a different child. Like there's nothing more wonderful than knowing that I can take what I've learned and help another family who would have no idea that it's because their child has a lactose allergy, or that the gluten and the glyphosate and the gluten is affecting their stomach, or that the shampoo their child was using has a slew of toxins in it, right? So you're totally right. You have to sometimes hit rock bottom to understand the lesson, right? And I always say, like, my dharma, my mission, and I know I've never been more like laser focused in my entire life. This isn't work to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is breathing, living. This is my air doing this. I don't ever wake up and say, oh, I'm bored. No, no, no. I wake up every single day and I'm like, let's go. Like, how many people can I help today? How many homes can I help to teach, the importance of clean living? And it's a really beautiful full circle moment for me to be able to give that back to people.
Ugh, I love that so much. I mean, so okay, just quickly on the molds. How do
Yeah.
you figure out, like, is there a mold test? Like,
Yes.
are somebody's coming in?
Yeah, so the best way to test for mold is through urine. So you would take something called a mycotoxin test, and it's a really easy test, which I'm so grateful for that it's not blood, because for children it's so much easier to facilitate. You take a urine sample and it tests, because what you're doing is you're excreting the mold. Mold will colonize in your body, but you're also excreting it when you go to the bathroom. So it's a really nice way to test and see exactly, what types of mold you have. Now, in holistic medicine, a mold detox is a very complex thing because your body is now at a disadvantage. So I always tell everybody, don't like Google or Chat GPT mold detox, right? Everyone's different. Everyone has a different load in their body of this environmental toxin, and with mold exposure comes heavy metals. Okay, so if you've ever heard people talking about detoxing from heavy metals,
Mhm.
you're not only detoxing the mold, you're detoxing the heavy metals, and it can be detrimental if you don't do it in a safe way under the care of a practitioner. So we have a functional on our team who can help facilitate this for you if you need testing. But I've also built such a beautiful arsenal of practitioners all over the country for my clients who don't live necessarily in New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, that can help assist this, right? Because it's not as simple as just taking a binder. This is months, sometimes years of a slow, gentle detox for your body. So you don't want to push yourself over the edge, because you don't want to just kill, 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 kill. We have to kill and release, kill, release. So we have to open the detox pathways. We have to make sure you're having a fully whole nourished diet. Your stress is under control, your circadian rhythm. Um, you'll in functional medicine, you'll often hear people talk about fight or flight.
Mhm.
A lot of people who are getting chronically ill are people who are already in a state of fight or flight, and their stress levels and their cortisol is just through the roof, and so their body can no longer process the stressors. So part of the detox is equal parts physical, but also equal parts emotional and spiritual. And people are always like, that's crazy. What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about?
This
And
is this is the right platform for this
you
part of the
get it.
conversation.
You get it.
Everything's
Uh,
energetic. Yes.
yeah, everything's energetic. Everything is energetic. And even in my own journey, and I'm sure with your journey, it became just as much spiritual for me as it did uh physical. So every time I was cleansing, I was also cleansing this, and I was also cleansing this. And I
Mm.
didn't know it at the time. When I started this, I had grown up in an environment where Western medicine was just it. I had never had it. I didn't ever have to question. Like my doctor was everything. And if she told me to do something, I would do it without asking twice. I had no agency. I had no, self power to even question what was happening. I was like, I don't know about, I didn't go to medical school. But one of the largest lessons I've learned is that we ourselves are our own best advocates and our own best doctors. Now, I would never perform surgery on myself. I would never, there's a time and a place for Western medicine, Eastern medicine, there's a time and a place, but you know your body better than anyone. So if you feel something's off and if you feel like no one's hearing you, you have to speak up and you have to be strong and powerful and if that person's not listening to you, go to another person and just keep going.
So, would you say that this experience with all the chronic illnesses has that deepened your spirituality, changed your
Oh my
spirituality? Like, did it crack you open? Is it a crack open moment for you?
crack open isn't even like it's an understatement.
Yeah.
It so I grew up Jewish.
Hmm.
I love I love my culture. I love where I came from.
Hmm.
My all of my grandparents fled Nazi Germany. Like we are so culturally Jewish. I wear Hebrew around my neck, but I was never spiritual. I'm sorry, I was never religious. I was never religious. I was spiritual. I we traditionally we did the holidays because we were honoring our family, not because we necessarily were religious. When this all happened to me, like when I tell you I didn't know I don't believe in God being a man sitting up here and doing this and you're good at it. Now universe is my God. Now universe is my everything. Now universe is my teacher and my guide. And I did this most beautiful plant-based medicine journey.
Which
And
one?
I it was facilitated by two people who are near and dear to me in New York City. I went with 10 women. We went to upstate New York and I did MDMA and psilocybin, and it was just everything. Have you done it?
I mean, yes, I've done MDMA, psilocybin, ayahuasca. We
We
love
have
it.
to
The
do one together.
gamut. Yes.
We're gonna have to do. We're
I'm
gonna have
going
to
in
do.
November to do ayahuasca if you
Oh
want to
my
come.
god. Oh my god. We have to.
We'll talk. We'll offline. We'll talk
We have
offline
to
after
have
this. Yeah.
lines, but I did this journey, and I remember driving from Boston to upstate New York to Hudson, and I remember physically shaking, and I was like, "Why am I so scared? Why am I so scared?" And I remember it was like my body knew this is the moment. Everything's going to make sense for you. This is the moment you're going to get the answers. Because when you have chronic illness, especially if it's not an acute, for example, tick bite, right? I wasn't like out hiking and like, okay, I got bit by a tick. Like it happens. That's not what happened here. This had been sitting and festering. I needed answers that I didn't know I needed, right? I was sitting here isolated, alone. No one understood what I was going through. No one could possibly understand the isolation that you go through. You get it. You've been there. But for people who haven't necessarily done that, you sit here and it's why? Why? What did I do? I thought I was a good person. What could I have done to deserve this, right? Now I recently did this beautiful experience, this beautiful training on mindfulness for children, and I learned the term health gift. And I loved it so much. Her name is Missy Brown. Shout out to Missy Brown. I love you so much. She called her own health struggles a health gift. And when she said that to me, I was like, she's right. This was a gift that I never knew I needed.
Mm.
And I switched. So I was driving to Hudson and I was like physically shaking and I was so scared because when you're chronically ill, you're always scared about getting sick. So it's like I have to be with all of these people. How am I not going to feel sick? What if I feel sick? What am I going to do? Do I have a place that I can go lay down? What if I have to go to the hospital? Are they going to understand? Like you start to spiral. When I tell you that it couldn't have been more it was the opposite of that feeling. It was all love. It was all beauty. I got every answer about why I got sick. I got every answer about the importance of getting sick. I got every answer about soldiering on to do my work that I'm doing now, and that whole thing. And it really helped me. I had done years of brain rewiring up until this point, but that changed everything for me. And I take that experience with me everywhere I go, every interaction I have. Um, it really changed my life. And going through an experience of chronic illness and not having a guide to help you through it is really my mission. It's really why I'm doing what I'm doing. So you come to my company and we do in-home detoxes. Of course, we talk about all of the things in your home. I come into your home, I can do it remotely. We have a functional practitioner on board. We also have Lyme support. What do I do? I got bit by a tick. What are the next 10 steps I have to do? But it's also become so much more than that. And I do a lot of events and speaking engagements and working on the show. And my goal is to reach as many people as I can that try, instead of looking at it as something that happened to you, it's happening for you. And that's so hard when you're in it because you feel victimized.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done so much work with my healer here in town who I just love and adore. And I saw her recently and she said to me, "You've got to stop being the victim. You just stop being the victim." And I was like, "Oh, what?" And she was like, "Stop being the victim. Just stop. Stop." We got into this whole thing about identity. And she was right. I was still identifying as the sick girl, right? And for anybody who's listening who's going through chronic illness or even just a time in your life that doesn't feel aligned, or you're having a fallout or a divorce or a friendship that's crumbling or a work, everything's happening for you, babe. Literally, this is a gift. Your friend didn't invite you to dinner. Bless her. Thank you. You just showed me. Your husband had an affair. It hurts, but bless you. Thank you for showing me who you are. Thank you, universe, for showing me. Thank you for showing me this is this real person. Nice knowing you. I send you with love and light. Right?
Wow. And that's hard to do. That is not easy for everyone.
So hard.
Yeah.
So hard. It takes years.
Tell me about your healer. Yeah.
Oh,
what kind of work does she do with you? What are you looking for when you go there?
Her name because she likes to stay under the radar. But
That's
if
okay.
anybody who hears this wants to speak to her, I'm more than happy to set you up with her offline, as long as we talk about it before. So if anyone needs someone, she has changed my life in more ways than ever. We really talk a lot about soul contracts, and I'm sure you know.
This community knows, because I also believe that, the me getting run over by a car while pregnant sounds like it'd be a really terrible thing. Baby's fine. But it was meant to happen, and it was soul contract for me. And that's, it's very similar. These journeys are similar. Like, chronic illness is a whole nother game. I love hearing you talk about it because it speaks to my soul.
I love that. And we all have a tie to each other, right? Even though we didn't go through the same trauma, we all understand each other. I totally understand you. I totally feel you and see you and know it. And anyone who's listening, I'm so glad you created a space for people who could come and listen to this, because that's what it's all about. Because sometimes people don't have that community around them, that people are just like, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?" And I have people in my life, like my husband supports me blindly. He's the sweetest man, but he's not on my journey, and he doesn't necessarily understand. I'll be doing laundry and being like, "I just talked to my dead grandfather," and he's like, "Mm-hmm." He's just like, "Okay,
Yeah.
okay."
This tracks. Mine's less dead grandfather and more my spirit guide Pange May, and I'm just like, "Just talk to Pange." He's like, "Okay."
Pange knows what's up.
Pange knows.
Pange knows, and everyone has that around them. They just have to tap into it.
Yes.
And part of my healing and my growth and my journey was being cracked open like this,
Mm.
I never knew what alignment was until this.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And you know that warm fuzzy feeling you get like after you have a first date and you're like, oh my God, like they're gonna call and this is gonna be like, that's what I feel now all the time because I know I'm doing exactly what it is I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm.
And there's like no ego in it. There's no like, I know what the best shampoo is for you, or like, I know what the best water filter is. No, it's like, I've spent the last years vetting thousands of companies, and I'm not going to give you anything I'm not giving my own son. And I hope I can give you this gift of learning. And I hope I can give you this gift of trusting yourself and giving yourself agency and giving yourself the power to really think about what it is you're doing and where it is that you're going, right? It's all under the same umbrella. You can get healing from a friend, you can get healing from a product, you can get healing from a doctor, but like everyone forgets about yourself. Like
Mm.
we have the ability to self heal. We have this ability. And don't get me wrong, I didn't like wake up one day and like feel like I knew this. This was a journey for me. And I'm still every day on this journey. Every day I'm learning, like every day I'm learning more. I'm not done. Or like this was 6 years of going through hell and back and like working with all of these amazing people. And I'm more than happy to share if anyone's listening, if anyone needs, any guidance in who to see or who to speak to, whether it's medical or not, I would absolutely love and honor to help people.
And we'll link all how we can connect with you in the show
Yes.
notes. You must wake up in the morning also with such gratitude that you feel good.
I wake up with such gratitude, and sometimes I don't feel good. Like
Mm.
I'm still like going like this. Like there's
Mm.
days where I'm on a new protocol right now and it's like a major cocktail of different things. And sometimes I don't feel good, but the difference is from 5 years ago and today, I have learned to surrender to that feeling instead of fighting it. And what I mean by that is when I was really sick and I was like really in the thick of it, the mornings were the hardest for me. And that tends to be common with people who have chronic illness. I would wake up and have these like bucket dumps of gloom and doom and like anxiety and depression, and everything would feel the worst and all like,
Mm.
I'd be like, oh my God, I'm never going to not be sick. How am I going to
Mm.
get never going to get better? I can't believe I'm sick again.
Mm.
And the negative, the negative roles would play in my head. But now what I do is, and I tell this to anybody who can try to apply this, even 1 out of 10 times, when you wake up in the morning, if you don't feel your best physically, you lay back, close your eyes, hand on heart, take a minute, a few deep breaths, and just say, okay, I hear you. I see you. I know you're there. You know what? We're safe. I'm ready for you to leave. I'm ready for you to leave. Sometimes that will just take away the edge of whatever it is, acknowledging it because that feeling is there for a reason, right?
Mm.
That emotion is there for a reason, or that physical pain is there. It doesn't mean all of a sudden your back pain is like just going to disappear or your migraine is just going to go away. But by telling your body that you're safe and by telling your body that, you feel it, you hear it, you see it, you're surrendering to it, and not letting it become your identity. Like I'm still going to go on with my day. I might feel shitty, but I'm going to go on with my day and I'm going to be grateful for like 10 other things. So just trying to create a safe space in your bubble, I found has been very, very helpful.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I needed to hear that right
Oh,
now.
good.
So thank you for that. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I kind of cut you off around soul contracts, but if anyone listening does not know what a soul contract is, will you describe it?
Yes, so fun. I love talking about soul
Yes.
contact. So I believe, and it sounds like you also subscribe to this belief that we all, before coming here, have created a contract knowing the pain and suffering or happiness and whatever it would be before we accept this life because we needed to learn a lesson. And so a soul contract is really imagine yourself getting a huge download of what your life could be, all of the good, all of the bad, all of the ugly, all of the beautiful, all of the things, and saying, I agree, check, check, check. I'm signing my name at the bottom. I would like to go live that life and experience those relationships, experiences, all of the grief, all the sadness, because I need to learn whatever those lessons are. And I now accept, I concede, I consent, let's go. And so knowing that has really changed the way I function in my day-to-day life, whether that be if I have, if I had back before I was married, a relationship that didn't work out, or a job that didn't work out, or even being sick, I now know that I knew I was going to get sick. I knew this was going to happen. My soul knew that this was going to happen. And that was the lesson of what I'm doing now. And I needed to know that. And so it's a really great way. I think it makes things less intense. At least I don't know if you find that, but if someone lets me down, for example, if I think someone's like going to be a lifelong friend or a partner or a bit, whatever it is, or I don't know, whatever it is happens, knowing like you signed up for this for a reason.
Mm.
And the reason that this is happening, it's not to you, it's for you. I don't know, it just makes me feel more in control, or I just feel like there's the reason. There's a reason behind it. It's not just like blind chaos that's happening all around us,
Right.
you know?
There's purpose in it. There's
Yeah,
purpose in the pain, which is exactly what you said, which is,
totally,
yeah.
totally. I have people who come to me, clients, and they're like, well, my child's really ill. How can I apply this to that? And believe me, when your child is sick, the whole world stops. Nothing else matters. But just knowing that there is a reason this experience is happening mm, helps me at least to feel like you said, like there's some purpose in it. And there's a lot of people who go through chronic illness who are really type A, like myself, really type A, go, go, go. They say yes to everybody. They bleed emotion for everybody. They're always the person everyone calls for advice. They're always the person that takes care of everything. And sometimes the lesson is we need to have some boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
or we need to take a minute and just like slow our life down.
Mm.
Just like our brains are not meant to live the way in which the world is operating right now, where we're constantly looking at a phone, we're constantly getting information from a computer, we're constantly getting 50 different people telling us what the right cereal to eat is,
Mm.
whatever it is. And I really wanted to take that I wanted to take that feeling of being overwhelmed away from people when I go into their home and work with them,
Mm.
and let them know that I have dedicated my life to this work. And um we're so overloaded and overstimulated that sometimes we just have to bring it back to the basics. Like go for a walk. Just go for a walk. That's it. Just like put your phone at home and go for a walk. Your texts will wait, your DMs will wait. And I have to remind myself of this too.
Mm-hmm.
But we're so hyper agitated all the time, and we're sitting in a box inside looking at light, and then it's time to go to bed and the TV's on, or we're answering emails and we're exhausted from the day. And sometimes it's really just about bringing it back to basics. And like I think that's like, whether it's soul purpose, whether it's food, whether it's your home, whether it's consumption, like whatever it is, I think it's really about remembering our reason for being here on this earth and existing is really about connection and love and just doing the best that we can do.
Woo!
Preach,
Preach!
Alexandra.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, you are amazing. I have like 4 products here that I brought from my kitchen, and I just like, maybe you can
Yes,
tell me
yes.
whether or not these are good or bad, because they
Thanks.
seem like they'll be good, you know.
Okay, I'm so
And so
excited.
that's why I was just like, let's just see.
Okay.
Okay. I have this lemon ginger yogi tea. It says
Okay.
it's organic. It
Yep.
says non-GMO.
Yep.
Are these
So
tea bags bad for me?
I love lemon and ginger.
Yes.
I love what's in the ingredients. I don't like the tea bag,
The tea
because the
bag's so
tea
bad.
bag will release microplastics, especially when they're heated. So I suggest there are two ways to do this. if you love this brand and you're married to this brand, if you can, cut open the top of the tea bag and let it steep. Like get a little tea steeper. Don't heat up the
The
bag.
tea steeper is chic, and I'm into that. Like, I'm into that,
Love
but
a
I'm
tea
not
steeper.
trying to like go get special. I don't know. I feel like getting the herbs separately is harder for me. Why do I feel like that's so hard?
No, no, I think it's easy to have tea already like put together like this for you.
Yes.
Yeah, so if
Yes.
you're married to that, you're still going to get an exposure of toxins because it's been sitting in the bag. But if you love that tea, that's a better option. Your second option is buy loose leaf tea.
Just buy loose leaf tea.
Just buy loose leaf tea. You can buy lemon ginger loose leaf tea instead of buying the bags, and you just
Okay.
let it steep. Maybe it'll take like an extra minute because you have to like let it steep.
Yes.
But I do that with all of my tea. It tastes delicious. It tastes exactly the same. And there's also clean teas. Like Rishi is a brand that I love, and like they do have tea bags, but they are less toxic than the traditional tea bag.
Mm. I see. I'm finished my tea now, and I'm glad I'm done because I knew you were gonna tell me
Yeah,
it was bad.
we're never doing that
But
again.
we're moving on from that. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Then I had another tea, but you're gonna tell me the same thing. I was just wondering if like a different organic brand was. It
It's
doesn't matter.
so we love that the tea is organic. We like
Yes, we
love
love
that, but
that.
we love that, but it's the bag in which it's going to be sitting in. So I would just try to focus next time you go, and I can offline send you some of my favorite brands. Just try to order loose leaf,
Okay.
and that way you don't have to deal with it.
Okay.
I
I love
actually
it.
think I think it tastes better coming from it. Just like tastes fresher anyway to me. So try it and tell me what you think.
Okay. I definitely will.
Okay.
All right. Cleaning products. This is for dishwasher. Seventh generation clean, clean with
Yep.
purpose. Dishwasher detergent. It's a powder.
So I am gonna make you. I'm just gonna ruin your life right
No!
now. So seventh generation did a beautiful job of greenwashing.
Oh my
And
gosh, it's not
I
good.
know, I know it's really not great. I would never suggest this for any of my clients.
Okay.
There are toxins in there, and there are
Oh.
ingredients that are hormone disrupting, and we don't like seventh generation. Now, caveat, is it better than using another traditional on the shelf product? Maybe there's less exposure,
Mm.
but our goal is not to have less exposure. Our goal is to have no exposure because, and this is what I say to people, it's the same thing as like if you have a pack of cigarettes and you're like, well, I'm only going to smoke one today. I'm not going to
Hmm.
smoke the whole thing. It's the same thing. You're using your dishwasher a million times a week. You're
Yes.
getting that exposure. You have children.
Hmm.
We're getting that. They're getting that exposure. When you clean your dishes in a dishwasher or by hand, there are particles left of chemical residue that are left on the plates, the spoons, the forks. So why not just say, let's use a completely clean, toxic free product and not even have to worry about that. So I give seventh generation a thumbs down. Is it better than some others? 100%, but we can all do better together and find you a better product.
We're gonna find a better one, and whatever one you tell me to use, we'll link
Yes.
it too, so
Yes.
that we know. Okay, last one. This is Better Life all-purpose cleaner, filth fighting, cuts through grease. It's like what I use to clean my
Actually, never
countertops.
seen that one.
Oh, really?
No,
This is what
I've
I've been
never
using.
seen that.
It says no added petroleum solvents, no synthetic fragrances, no dyes, no added alcohols, no added parabens, no added SLS or SLES.
Okay, that sounds beautiful. I've never seen this one. You'll have to offline send me a picture
I
of the
will.
ingredient, and
I
then
will.
show me you'll send me the ingredient label.
Yeah.
But I like how that sounds so far.
Okay, great. We love how that sounds.
Yeah.
I don't even know what in it. Water, capriol, mystic glucoside. I don't know. I'll send you
Okay.
pictures. Can't read any of those words.
All-purpose cleaner is one of those other things that we're using all the time, so we want
Yeah.
to make sure it's really clean,
Yes.
especially if you have any, asthma in your family or, children are susceptible to rashes or any allergies. Or pets. That's another one.
Mm,
So I have a few brands that I really, really love that I can share with you, and you can put it up for everybody.
amazing. And then for mold, you said the urine test, but is there like a mold test you can do in the home?
Yeah, so This is very layered, and I suggest if anybody really wants to deep dive, if they have mold, to set up a consult with me, because everybody's different and the exposures are different, but there are some standard things you can do. So you would have to you take the mycotoxin test. You can also test your home with an in-home test. There's a few different, and I would talk to you about that depending on the size of your home and your budget. There's like a lot of variables there, but there are really good in-home tests that you can do. You like use like a form of a cloth and you take dust samples. That's a really great way to test instead of humidity, which is kind of the old school way of testing. Now you test by dust spores, because the spores will move around the house. And that away, and then the lab will tell you what kind, how dangerous it is, the exposure level, and then comes getting a proper mold inspector and a proper remediation team. So people have to be really, really careful about remediation teams. When you have a mold exposure, you never want to use bleach. People think, oh, I'll just like throw some bleach on it. The bleach and the mold together create an even more toxic off-gassing than the mold itself. So for anyone listening, never, ever, ever use bleach. Even like on the grout in your bathroom tiles, you really don't want to use bleach there. So you have to be careful with remediation teams, because a lot of them will come in and remove the first layer of mold, but they won't seal the area in which the mold is living. So then the mold will spread and it can be really dangerous. And this is where I come in this is I have really great relationships with remediation teams, but also inspectors who understand this from a health perspective. Either they dealt with mold themselves in their own lives with their children or their family, and they know how to properly remediate the space and seal it off. And then you have to clean every single thing in your house. And I like to work with teams who use non-toxic cleaning agents, because for someone who's susceptible to chronic illness or who's already sick from the mold, imagine coming in and using a toxic spray or a cleaner, right? It's just going to make things worse. So I've been really, really careful about who I have vetted to send to my clients, because I only have the best of the best. They did my house. They do my family's house. I've really been, you have to just be really careful, because a lot of companies will be like, yeah, I'll come in, I'll do it, I'm going to give you a discount. This is not a discounted item. This is something that you want to get a gift certificate for. This is real deal, and I'm more than happy to set up a consult with someone who needs me to walk them through that.
Oh, Alexandra, you are a wealth of knowledge.
So fun.
Thank you, Alexandra. You are an inspiration. And if you would like to connect with her, all of her info is in the show notes, along with links to a few of her favorite products. Thank you for listening to The Woo Report. For way more woo-woo, please follow and subscribe to the Woo Report podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or wherever you love to listen. Never miss an episode of The Woo Report by joining the community at thewooreportpodcast.com. Thank you for liking, sharing, rating, and loving on this little slice of magic. I am so, so grateful you are here. Bye.